Hey, everybody, welcome. It's me. For those who don't know, I'm Matt Michelatis, author of the young adult fantasy, The Crescent Stone, and I'm so pleased that with us we have Morgan Busse, author of the Ravenwood Saga, among others, winner of the Selah Award, winner of the INSPY Reader's Choice Award, winner of the Carol Award, Christy Award finalist. Yeah, you get all sorts of awards. It's amazing. But so, Morgan, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So glad to have you. We've got people start checking in here. So Caitlin says hello. And the Scales family is here. They said we listened to yesterday's chapter. And now we are excited to hear from Morgan Busse. Who isn't? Exactly. Patrick's here. He says, hey, Matt and Morgan. So, and we'll have a few more rolling in here. Be thinking about what questions you might have for Morgan and her work. I hope Kirk is here, or he's going to get a lot of angry emails from me. Kirk, are you there? Are you there, Kirk? He's a pastor, so I know sometimes stuff comes up. Yeah. Morgan, tell us a little bit about how did you get into writing and publishing? Was that something you always wanted to do? Is it no?
Oh. No. It's funny because, people always, at least a lot of writers I know, say they grew up always wanting to be a writer. I'm just going to show you my t-shirt real fast. Unicorn. I grew up wanting to be a unicorn.
And those little Harry Potter unicorns, right?
Yeah, they're Harry Potter unicorns. No, seriously. I grew up in the backwoods of Montana, and I spent all my free time just running around the woods pretending I was a unicorn. That's what I wanted to
do. Look, I have to show you this. Kirk is here. He says hello.
Hey, Kirk.
No angry emails.
So actually, but I was always a huge reader. I read so much. I actually broke my school record one year for reading the most books in 1 year. And it wasn't until I was married and I had a son and then I'd had a daughter, and I just needed this creative outlet. And my husband always said, you have great ideas. Why don't you write? And I'm like, I don't even know how to be a writer. I just read books. And he just kept saying, you need to be a writer. You need to write something. And then one day we were on a family road trip, and I had this idea, which actually became my very first book. So I blame my husband for becoming a writer.
Now, you've written your first books. Were those the steampunk books?
No, my first books are the Follower of the Word series. Okay.
So you did Follower of Word and then Tainted. And then Raven. Okay, cool. So yeah, you're quite popular. Everyone I ever talked to, especially in kind of the Christian fantasy world, especially, is like, Morgan's the best. I love Morgan. They love you as a person, and then they love your writing as well.
That always makes me feel weird because I'm like, I'm a normal. Well, actually, yes, I am.
I'm not a celebrity. I'm just a unicorn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but if you can't be a unicorn, like, I feel like an author is a good fallback career.
Exactly. Yeah, it's almost like being a unicorn.
So, book 3 of the Ravenwood Saga just came out this year.
Yeah, February.
Right? February. And is that the end, or are there going to be more Ravenwood books?
No, that's the end of that series.
Okay.
So I actually am writing a new steampunk series right now, and I'm already finished with this first book, and almost have a contract on it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Do you know Beth Cato?
That name sounds familiar.
She does steampunk stuff. I should introduce you guys.
That would be great.
So, okay, we're a little off track, but now I want to hear about your new books. Do they overlap with your previous steampunk stuff? Like, are in the same world or completely different? Completely. So you do have a lot of ideas. You're always like, well, that was fun. Now let's do something new.
Yeah. Whenever I finish a series, Steve Lobby is my agent. He's like, okay, do you have any more ideas? And I'll usually ship him off 3 to 5 really solid ideas that I already have a lot of stuff written out for. So he's like, this one looks good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you need more writing time so that you can do like 3 books at a time.
Be faster. I'm a really slow writer.
So. Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. You put out a lot of books for someone who's a slow writer.
Well, I write a book a year, so
that's not that slow.
No, no, but I know all these people that are like 2 or 3 books a year, and I'm like, how do you do that?
Well, I know. Oh man, I have this friend who has 3 pen names, and she has 3 to 4 books come out a year. And she said she had to get pen names because they told her the market couldn't sustain the number of books she was writing.
I've heard of that. Yeah. Wow.
Which I'm like, man, amazing. Okay, we got a couple more comments here. This is Beth. I call her Dr. Awesome. She says, hi there. Looking forward to the interview. And then Kirk says, I have to say, I picked up your books because Matt recommended I could give it to kids and girls in my church. That's really funny. I don't even remember that. So, wow, good for me. And then Kirk says, then at 3 a.m., he was reading them and thinking, I'm not supposed to love this, but I so do. That's amazing.
And stayed up too late.
I know those 3 a.m. reading books are always good ones. Well, tell us the basic idea of the Ravenwood Saga. So we have the Ravenwood family, right?
Yeah.
And what starts us off? What starts the story?
So it takes place in a world where 7 families kind of rule over different provinces, and each of them were given a special gift to help with their ruling. And so the family of Ravenwood have the ability to walk in dreams. However, it was thought that family had died out hundreds of years ago, so no more existed. However, they still do, but because of stuff that's happened in the past, they've chosen to keep it a secret. And they use their ability now to find political secrets or to assassinate.
Oh, and they can like shape things in the dreams, right? Like if they're in your dream, they can kind of affect the way you feel about things or give you information.
Memories. Yeah.
So, and then in the main character is part of the Ravenwood family and has the secret power. And is this a spoiler if I say that she's an assassin?
No.
Okay, good. Not a spoiler.
Not a spoiler. No.
So, and what is her? I think one of the things I love about your books, Morgan, is that there are so many fantasy books that the answer is black and white at all times. Like you always know exactly what the right choice is, and the question is, will they make it or not? But you have some like dilemma action going on for your hero.
Yeah.
So what's kind of her conflict she's dealing with?
So there's a lot of conflict. Like I said, she's the oldest daughter of 3 girls. And as the oldest, she's the heir to her family's dynasty of their gift of. And one thing also that you start to realize is the money they make off of finding out secrets or assassinating supposedly has been going towards helping the people because they're the poorest province there is.
Right.
And so that's one reason to keep doing it. Another reason is if she doesn't do it, her sisters will be trained into doing this, which is not a burden she wants to lay on them. Plus, having grown up in a family like this, I really wanted to put my mind into a character who wonders if there's something better out there, but you've never heard or experienced that before because you've been shut up in this castle with your mother, let's just call her Mother Gothel. That's some ways that's what it's like. And I wanted to, how would someone go about figuring out what's right or wrong when this has been the way you were brought up and this has been told is necessary and needs to be done. So.
And did you conceive this as a trilogy starting out? You knew it was going to be 3 books?
Yes, this one I did. Yep.
Okay. And did you plot them all together? Like you knew what was happening in all 3 books or just had like a basic idea of here's where I'm going?
Yeah, usually I'll have the first book, at least a lot of the big stuff planned out. And then I'll have a basic idea of book 2 and book 3. But I definitely need to know how I'm going to wrap it up in book 3 so I know kind of what I'm steering towards.
Yeah. That makes sense. I'm writing the 3rd book in my trilogy, like literally not right this second, but like today.
What, you're not writing it right now while we're talking?
No, I'm not Stephen King. But the 2nd book was about to go to print. Like it was very close. It was still, I think we're doing copy edits. And I had a sudden realization about something that was going to happen in book 3 that I had contradicted in book 2. And I'm calling my editor like, we need to change this right away. It was a close one because it wasn't as planned out as it maybe should have been. But so how did it feel when you're Do you get a feeling of like relief when the third book comes out and is done? Or are you like sad to
relief? And well, let's just be honest, a lot of times already on another whole different story by the time it actually comes out.
Yeah.
And I'm like done with everything because I've spent 2 or 3 years on it, and I'm tired. I'm tired of that world. I'm tired of those people. I mean, you gotta love something enough to spend that much time on them. And you know, as you probably know, after having a lot of deadlines, it's kind of nice to go, I don't have any deadlines right now.
Right.
At least for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, I know. My deadline is June 1st. And like, so I'm like actually every day going, okay, I can hit this deadline. I can do it. I just need to only write. That's what I need to do. Yeah, actually, yesterday was great. My daughter, Allie, I was like, here's some money. I'm going to write while you ride your bike to get me a milkshake. And she did. It was amazing. It was so good. Let's see. Scales family has a couple questions for us. They said, we'd like to know if you have a favorite character in this series. And also, do you have a character who is most like you?
Ooh, that's hard. Because there's a lot of good characters in this series. Obviously, the main character is Selene. I enjoy, but the other character, his name's Damien, and he has the ability to raise water as a protective measure. And he lives next to the ocean, and I love the ocean. And so I don't know, I'd be torn between which one is my favorite. As far as a character who's most like you, I would definitely say Selene, because she is comes across as a very cold person until you get to know her. And that's partly because she's always been trained to not let her feelings drive her, to hide everything that she is. And just her personality is by nature logical. And if you do any of those personality tests, I've always been I'm the analyst. I'm the logical person. And as a woman, and especially when I was young, that was always really hard because I always felt like I didn't fit in anywhere.
Yeah. You know, you were like too cerebral. It was like, aren't you supposed to be more emotional? Yeah, Why are you so cold and distant?
Let's go shoe shopping, or let's go have a sleepover. And I'm like, I'm reading. I was part of the Science Olympiad, and I had the periodic table memorized, and I was a total.
So like people would be like, let's go buy shoes. And you're like, I have 3 pairs of shoes.
One.
Oh, one pair. Only need one. I have more shoes than you.
I have more shoes. And they're, you know, actually growing up in Montana, I'm like, they're uncomfortable. I'd rather go barefoot.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Exactly. Let's see, a couple more questions. Caitlin would like to know, which series was your favorite to write? Which one was the most fun? Or you enjoyed them?
They're done. That's my favorite series. Because I do love writing, but when you're in the midst of it, you're like, this is really hard. Like my steampunk series right now, I'm having to do a ton of research on it. I'm like, this is so hard. Why did I do this? Probably though, if I was to do my favorite series to write, it was probably my first one, because that was when I was really exploring what it actually meant. I started writing in 2004. And I wrote like when my kids were sleeping and stuff, and I didn't get published until 2012 is when my book came out. So I had many years of just learning how to write, going to conferences, no deadlines, just learning how to use my imagination and plot and stuff. So yeah. That's
an exciting moment, isn't it? When you get your first book in the mail, and you did they send you like a box of your books or like, and you open it up and you're like,
I wrote this, you know?
Yeah, and you can like hold it in your hands. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. That's cool. So do you ever, with one of your previous, I know you're like, I always want to do a new thing, I always have a new idea. Are there ever times where you're like, one of your ideas, you start to go like, oh, I want to go back to that character, or, you know, things like that?
I have a possible series that might take place before the okay, hang on. I'm getting my stories all mixed up. I usually like leave a back door if I want to revisit series, and I've thought about it, but at this point I'm really blessed that I have different publishing companies that are willing to pay me. Right. and they get to go, well, you know, I'm not sure about that.
Right.
So yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, there is that reality of, oh man, my Sword of Six Worlds book. I literally got a letter yesterday. It's usually from young kids. Hey, when's the sequel coming out? I'm like, well, maybe never.
When either I decide to, finally go indie and I'm going to do my own thing,
Right.
or someone wants to pay me to do it.
Right. Exactly. That's bad. But also we want to keep books coming out. Caitlin says that is her favorite series too. It introduced her to your other books. That's really sweet. Let's see. Kimberly would like to know what age your books are geared toward.
I'd say teen and adult. So I tell people if you, so I was always reading books that were farther along than I was age-wise.
Right,
I was reading adult books. Obviously not with adult content.
Well, and your books are not inappropriate for younger.
No, I think that some stuff, like a 12-year-old would understand some stuff. Like there's some marriage conflict in Cry the Raven.
Right.
I mean, I think teenagers would start to understand some of that stuff, and I think it's a great series to show the realities of relationships and falling in love and marriage and stuff. But I think a 12-year-old go, but you never know. I was also one of those. I was the one that was reading Moby Dick and Shakespeare when I was 12 and 13. So. Yeah.
Kimberly has a 9-year-old, so I think she's asking.
Yeah. I would definitely wait. I usually say 13, 14, probably. Okay. Longest 15 is probably the best age to start.
But Kimberly's a teacher also, so she says she teaches kids up to 12. I would guess, Kimberly, you probably have some kids in that age range that would be fine for. I think maybe if you read it first, you would be able to make that decision pretty easily. But yeah, there's nothing inappropriate. There's not like cursing or extreme violence or things like that.
No.
Kirk says 40-year-old pastors, ha ha ha, I'm such a weirdo. Yeah, that's right, Kirk. He's saying because he likes it. He's part of the
43-year-old pastors.
Yeah, there you go, Kirk. You're in the range. It's fine. Yeah. The scales have a couple questions here. Let's see. They want to know if all your series are trilogies. And Sarah says her girls love fantasy. They're all series, but they're not all
series. Yeah, my friends tend to lean more towards trilogies. But my steampunk series is a duology, the Tainted and Awakened, and then my new steampunk series that I'm working on right now is also going to be a duology. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
I'm to do a standalone. I want to know what it's like just to write one book and be done.
What is it about steampunk that they're just duologies instead of trilogies?
Because usually by the time I'm done with the story, it's 150 to 180,000 words. That's just not the right size for a steampunk.
Well, there you go.
So they have to be chopped in half.
Oh, I see. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, interesting.
People accept that with the epic fantasy, and that's probably really only unless you're like Stephen King.
Or like those, yeah. Stephen King or some of those giant science fiction books like space opera or something.
Yeah.
The Scales family is wondering, what were some of your favorite books growing up? Now, we know you're running through the woods as a unicorn reading books. So what did you like to read?
So obviously any of the Black Stallions. Nancy Drew, really anything I could get my hands on. I read a ton of biographies too. I loved biographies. Though anything that had horses in it, I read. Anything, but I wasn't.
You don't have like a horse-centric series here. Are you going to write?
I do have a young adult series that does involve a unicorn.
Okay.
I just haven't had anyone offer me any money for it.
Oh, I was like, I don't remember that book.
It's their favorite thing because they know the story by heart, and they're like, "Mom, you got to write your unicorn." But I don't have the time to do 2 stories.
One of the first ones of these we did, I had an author on who told us about her shelved time travel. I think it was a pirate romance, and everyone was like, "We want that book," and she's like, "Yeah, nobody wanted it 10 years ago."
Yeah, this is like imagine Rick Riordan style book, but instead of Greek gods and goddesses and stuff, it is mythological creatures that live in our world.
I'd read that.
Yeah, it's a really fun book. So, and it's a series, but they're each standalone. So
that's nice.
Yeah. Just gotta wait for the publisher to come along.
What can you do? Just keep writing them.
Yeah.
So you're writing your steampunk stuff now, and did you say you have a contract on those, or you're looking for one for the steampunk?
I just finished it, and I haven't signed it, but I pretty much have a contract on it.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's good. Kirk said he also would read
the Unicorn Story.
Unicorn Story.
I also got a dwarf one that I'm so excited about. That
what?
A dwarf one.
Really?
Yes, I wanted to explore dwarves. Well, partly because I'm a short person, and I'm really coloring books, and it always seems like dwarves are like rough, and rowdy, and
big beards.
And beards. Mine's actually a woman dwarf.
Does she have a beard?
No
beards.
No, it's kind of like me, as if I was a dwarf and I don't have a beard. So.
No, that's true. Yeah, I can back that up. I don't see a beard.
This morning, so.
Me too.
So that's another, like I said, I have so many ideas. I don't think I'll ever run out of things to write.
Do you find, Morgan, my experience is when I'm writing, I actually have more ideas than when I'm on a break. Is that true for you?
Yeah, usually I'll start a folder on my computer, like the book I'm writing right now, this Steampunk series, I came up with August of 2015, because that's when I wrote down the first idea for this series. So I'm writing one series, but I'm getting ideas for another, and I just kind of dump everything into a folder. So when I'm finally done with the series, I come back to this folder, I look through it, see how solid the story is. And then I send it to Steve and see if he wants it.
That's really good. My thing is, I'm writing my fantasy novel right now, and my brain is like, wouldn't you love to do a space trilogy? Or like, what about a movie script? And like all these ideas, and I'm like, go away, leave me alone. And I don't write it down. I feel like it's encouraging myself, but then I don't remember it later.
Then it has a place to live. But it's not distracting me.
I'm going to try this. I'm going to open a second document while I'm working I can throw it into. That's good.
And then I don't have to plot as much because I've already got almost a whole book ready.
That's amazing. Well, hey, for everybody who's listening, whether you're live or listening later, I always, when we have a guest on, I always buy one of their books to send to somebody. So if you like, comment, or share, whether on Facebook or on YouTube, I'm going to do a big number generator. I'll pick somebody out and send you an email or reach out to you. Maybe not an email. Well, because I may not have your email. And we'll figure out which book you'd like, and we'll start there. Because I'm not going to send you Cry of the Raven if you haven't read the rest of the Ravenwood Saga.
A lot of spoilers.
So yeah, exactly. Don't read them backwards. This is kind of weird, Morgan, but my dad was part of the generation of kind of the original geeks, read every science fiction book growing up when he was a kid, in the 1950s. And if he picks up a science fiction or fantasy book now, he doesn't want to waste his time reading a story he's seen somewhere else. So he flips to the back of the book and he reads the last 2 or 3 chapters. And then if he's like, yeah, I don't think I know what that is, he'll go to the middle, and then he'll read the first couple chapters and then decide if he's going to read it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I judge him a lot for it. It's upsetting. Let's see. Abby Scales wants to know, how do you write? Do you do a certain number of pages a day or words, or like how do you hit your deadlines?
So for me, because I'm a slow writer, if I'm under a deadline, I write about 1,000 to 1,500 words a day.
Okay.
And that's during the weekdays. And I have 4 kids at home. So when the kids are home, I'm mom. Yeah. And then when they're at school is when I do my writing. However, the reason it's really slow is I kind of edit as I go along, and I do a lot of research as I'm writing. And so by the time I'm actually done with my first draft, it's a really clean draft. I usually only go back one more time, tweak a little bit, and I send it off. So that's the nice thing about being a slow writer is
that's great.
I don't do any rewrites or anything. That's the story. So.
See, that's really interesting because I'm a fast drafter, but I literally leave notes for my future self in the text. I'm like, hey, future Matt, go research this and make sure it's true. And a lot of times, yeah, I'm reading through and I'm like, oh, past Matt, what is wrong with you? Like, there was one book I was reading and I was like, this thing's almost done. And I got to the end and there was a note saying like, I don't know what to do with the second half of this chapter. Figure it out. And I was like, a whole half a chapter? Why? What's wrong with you?
That would drive me nuts. I will literally, so if I run into that, I will either write ahead chapters because I know until I can figure that out or research it. Or let's see, like right now in my steampunk series, I'm researching a lot of different science stuff from the country. And so that's what I've been spending my time with. So I've slowed down to about 500 words because
of all the research.
Yeah.
Wow. But once the research, at least the core research is done, you'll start to speed up a little bit.
And then speed up until I'm like, what were they eating during that? And then, so my new world is set where everyone lives up on mountaintops or in floating islands and I started writing this years ago. I swear it wasn't because of coronavirus. But there's the leftovers of a war that has set a spore mist across the entire world. And you can't go into this down below into the valleys and stuff because you'll be infected. And the spores actually take over your body. And it's kind of like a zombie book.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's in a steampunk world. So my confinements is everything has to be something that could be set in a Victorian world. So I've been doing a ton of research in science and stuff, which has been so cool. Okay, remember science nerd here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there was so much stuff we knew about back then. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, like the ether, right?
Okay, so nerd moment.
Yeah, do it.
MRIs, the French scientists in 1892 figured out blood flow in the brain that led to what we now use as a method for MRI for figuring out what's going on in the brain. I'm like, that's so cool. Okay.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Huh. I just find out these tidbits and I'm like, that is so cool. And then, yeah. So I could go on for an hour. My kids were like, Mom, just.
Well, when that book comes out, we'll have you on for Science Friday. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
We'll just sit and chat science. Dr. Awesome has another writing question for you. What's a book or other resource that has developed you significantly as a writer?
The one book I use all the time when I'm writing is The Emotional Thesaurus.
I just got that this year and it's great. I got it for Christmas and it literally sits next to me while I'm writing.
Yeah. I had the first edition and it is so worn out. And now they just came out with the second edition. So of course I went and bought that one. But honestly, as an analytical, logical person, sometimes it's very hard for me to get into the emotion.
Yeah.
And so I love that because I'm able to look at some of the things that describe an emotion. And then I can look at my character and go, but how would my character do that? Are they more emotional? Or are they not emotional? Would they show it with their face? Would they show it with their face? Would they? So I love that book. Instead of having to sit there for a half an hour, go through different facial features, trying to figure out how they're, I still
do that too.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So the emotional thesaurus, the way it works, you look up angry and you pull it open and it'll say all these physical things an angry person might do, things they might be feeling physically, internally, other emotions it could lead to, other emotions that might be the root of it. So it'll be like clenched fists, grinding teeth, tense muscles, heartbeat increasing, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's super helpful. And you're not going to use 30 of those. Like if you list them all out, someone will be like, what is wrong with this writer? Yeah, but picking a couple key ones for the character you're with, you don't ever have to say he was angry. You say he clenched his fists and, can control his speech or something, Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, he's angry. Yeah, that's really good. Kirk says he became a Lee Child fan because of the crazy science facts that he hides in every book. Ooh. There you go. Okay.
Go read my first steampunk series. I got a couple things hidden in there because that's also from the Victorian era.
Yeah, that's great. So Morgan's website is morganlbusse.com. And that has links to all of her different social media places, how to get a hold of her. It has all of her books on there.
I have my phone number, but I don't answer anyway.
Who does? Who does these days? Yeah, my phone rang yesterday. My wife's like, "Who is it?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm not picking it up."
Yeah.
So, and then Morgan, your books are available widely. So any website that people typically buy from, your books are there. If you have a favorite local bookstore, if they don't have Morgan's books, they're available from all the regular places bookstores get books. So just tell them you want Morgan's books and they will get them for you. And that's very helpful for an author, by the way. And then a couple quick things before we go. Morgan, I'm going to give you a chance to have a final word. And if anyone has a final question, be thinking of it. But I want to show you next week at 1, we're going to have Diva Fagan is coming to talk about her middle grade book. So this will be more for like 9, 10, 11-year-olds. A book that just came out called Rival Magic. So it's another fantasy novel. Diva just today told me she could come. So that's exciting. And then what else? Oh yeah. As always, don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. And if you do it this week, you'll be entered for a chance to win one of Morgan's books for free to you. And we'll get it off to you. And yeah, that's about it. Morgan, any final words for our friends back home here?
No. I've been waiting all. Live long and prosper, okay?
Live long and prosper. All right, my friends. I will see you Monday. We'll continue our way through the Crescent Stone. Until then, Morgan, thanks so much for being with us. It was such a delight to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Okay, it takes a second for the end of broadcast.